Spike Lee is back with the explosive BlacKkKlansman. This film tells the story of Ron Stallworth, a black detective who went undercover in the KKK. This film is Spike Lee in his most political mode. Inside Man, this is not. The film opens on a long shot, you know the one from Gone with the Wind, then cuts to an informational film about white supremacy made by an intellectual played by Alec Baldwin in a small role. By opening with a clip from another film and then watching this supposed intellectual stumble over his words while outlining his hate-filled rhetoric, Lee is inviting us to question the way in which narratives of blackness have been constructed and portrayed in mainstream American media. It's a theme that runs throughout the film, especially when we're talking about movies. Ron and his love interest Patrice have a long conversation about blaxploitation cinema, complete with the posters shown on screen, and later in the movie, a gathering of the Klan leads to them watching Birth of a Nation, the infamously racist early film from D.W. Griffiths. This meta-narrative comes to a head at the end of the film, when the movie briefly segs into documentary content, looking at the resurgence of white supremacy in America currently, and ending with a memorial to Heather Heyer, the woman who died in an attack in Charlottesville last year. This political narrative is the lifeblood of BlacKkKlansman, but it's not the only place the film derives its energy from. Spike Lee has a lot more tricks up his sleeve. After Ron's initial contact with the Klan over the telephone, it becomes apparent he's going to need his colleagues' help in order to see them in person, for obvious reasons. This is where Flip comes in, a fellow detective of Jewish background who agrees to be Ron Stallworth in person with the Klan, so that the real Ron can continue to contact them via telephone. After this, the main body of the film follows roughly 3 plot threads. Firstly, Ron's ongoing telephone conversations with members of the Ku Klux Klan, including none other than David Duke, the former leader of the organization, who by the way is still around talking in American politics. These sequences are mostly dark comedy, and they're intercut with the very real, very tense infiltration of the actual Ku Klux Klan in person that Flip undertakes. The final plot thread of the film concerns Ron's ongoing relationship with Patrice, a woman he's originally assigned to surveil. Patrice, like quite a few other elements of the film, appears to be an entirely created character, and it seems like Lee wants to use the sections with her not just as a romantic thread to build up the stakes at the end of the film, but as a sort of supporting critical political dialogue for the ideas in the rest of the movie. Lee juggles these plot threads adroitly, jumping from racist police brutality to nightclub dance sequence back to undercover police debriefing quite capably. And in and amongst this character and plot work, Lee is as creative and inventive a visual director as ever. Special mention goes to a political rally portrayed near the start of the film, which Lee covers in a series of impressionistic close-ups lit like the characters are in different places, with multiple picture-in-picture montage and fade elements. It looks more like a Soviet communist film of the 1900s than like a Spike Lee joint in 2018. And that's such a powerful way of covering that, not least because it really foregrounds the audience nature of the people watching this speaker. And that's a weird thing for the viewer, because of course we're an audience watching the speaker, which we're also watching. Just another part of that meta-narrative. BlacKkKlansman may be a little anvilicious, but hey, some anvils need to be dropped, and now more than ever, we need to talk about the issues that this film raises. If I have one problem with the movie, it's that it struggles occasionally to find space for all of its interesting ideas. But each one of the individual threads that it has such trouble juggling is so individually compelling in its own right that it's hard to see that as a real problem with the film. After all, what's wrong with more of a good thing? Last but certainly not least, after last week's Denzel dud The Equalizer 2, it's nice to see another member of the Washington family doing well on screen. That's John David Washington, son of Denzel, playing the lead character Ron Stallworth in this film. It's not his screen debut, he appeared when he was about 6 years old in Malcolm X. That's it from me, but I'd love to find out your thoughts about this film. I have a suspicion it'll be controversial for probably all the wrong reasons. I really enjoyed it, but I want to hear from you about what you thought about it. Let's have a discussion in the comments below. That's it from me. Bye for now.